I think we can all agree that 2020 was a year that could best be described by this Bo Burnham song.
This first song is called A World on Fire.
Anyways, we were all stuck inside for a very long time, and it was a lot even for me, someone who doesn't really have any issues with staying home for long periods of time. But even if it all sucked, we at least got some cool stuff during that time. For example, VTubers pretty much invaded the world, proving that there is a place for content created by cute anime girls. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I feel like most people got into something new during lockdown. I mean, we were kind of forced to do so if we didn't want to die from boredom. Maybe you discovered a new hobby, learned to play an instrument, or you learned another language. Or maybe you just really got into a video game. For me, it was the latter. 2020 was the year I went back to Minecraft. It may not seem surprising really, Minecraft has been on the rise since 2019, back when PewDiePie led the revival of the game, and ever since then it seems as if it's only getting more and more popular. I was there, at the height of Minecraft's popularity back in the day. The first version I played was that old and forgotten demo that they used to have, but it wasn't until 1.0 came out that I really started playing it. Granted, I was never really good at the survival aspect of the game, considering that it was only last year that I actually beat the game for the first time. I used to spend most of my time on sites like Planet Minecraft or the Minecraft forums looking for maps to play, mostly parkour maps. I was really into them, so much so that I actually made one myself. It sucked, of course. I barely knew anything about making maps, so it was doomed to fail, and I had a hefty plan for it. I originally intended it to have 12 full stages, but I only managed to make 7 of those. Actually, not even that, because I barely even started the 7th stage. And look at me trying to build up hype for an adventure map. How cute. Spoiler alert, I never even started it. So yeah, eventually I grew out of the game, like most of us, and even though I maybe went back to it for a few times over the years, it wasn't until 2020 that I would go back in full force. What prompted me to get back into it, you ask? I don't know? I think it was the fact that I had recently upgraded my graphics card near the beginning of the lockdown, so I was eager to try it out, and the first thing that came to my mind was Minecraft with shaders, something I was never really able to try out on my old PCs. So I downloaded the game again, got a bunch of shaders to try out, and they all worked great, and the game looked gorgeous. I noticed then that some of my old worlds were still there, so I checked them out and I immediately got a bunch of nostalgia flowing in. One thing that I started doing before I stopped playing was building a house following a YouTube tutorial, so I looked it up to see what the finished product would have looked like, and on the recommended videos I saw him. I used to watch a lot of Minecraft YouTube, especially some of the OGs like Venom and Captain Sparkles, and even the Oxcast at some point, but I never really got into them. And one of the times that I went back to the game, I specifically wanted some building advice, and since none of the channels I used to follow were known for being amazing at building, I ended up on Grian's channel, who was, and still is, one of the most popular and talented builders in the entire community, and so I watched a lot of his videos. Then I forgot about Minecraft for a while again and never saw him again. Until now, that is. Driven by nostalgia, I went to his channel to see what he was up to, and saw that he was doing this series called Hermitcraft, and that he had recently started its 7th season. Curiosity got over me, and I checked out the first episode, thinking I'd only watch a bit of the 20-minute video to see what it was. And I ended up watching the first 2 episodes in one sitting, and I came out of it feeling like 3 minutes had passed. That was it for me. I was hooked. Something about Grian's insane talent for building, plus the fact that the video was structured in a way to skip all of the BS, that stands for boring stuff, and just get to the interesting bits, showed me a type of content that I hadn't seen before, as I was used to the old school Minecraft playthrough, if you will. Not to mention it was a multiplayer server, so shenanigans between friends happened often, and that was wildly entertaining to watch, surprisingly. And yes, I am aware that I was late to the whole thing, because SMP Live already proved that this type of content was fun, but I wasn't there for that, okay? Thanks to the multiplayer nature of
Hermitcraft,
it served as a very easy jumping on point to find other creators, purely because I wanted to see what they were up to in the server, or to see their perspectives on certain events. I wanted to see how Scar felt when Grian sent him all those zombies, so I checked out his Hermitcraft series. Then I wanted to see Mumbo's side of things because of the Hermit challenges he created, and so I checked out his Hermitcraft series. And then I wanted to see Iskal's POV of that time he managed to get the tag off of Grian, and so I binged his Hermitcraft series. Do you see the pattern here? It was a rabbit hole. Soon enough, I was already up to date with every major event on the server thanks to the Hermitcraft recap, and nowadays I watch every new Hermitcraft episode that these creators upload. I got sucked in, and I couldn't get out. The passion that these creators have for the game is what reignited my interest in Minecraft, and it was the reason I made a new world that ended up beating the game. And also, I made some really cool farms and builds inspired by the hermits themselves, cause I don't know if you know this, but they're all really good at Minecraft, and not just good at building, they're good at playing the game in a very efficient way. The old playthroughs that I used to watch found diamonds after like 10 episodes. Hermits get diamonds and a starter base by the end of their first episode, and that's what captivated me. Then, they spend their time building massive structures and farms to get every item that they're ever going to need, they build giant storage systems for said items, and then they create some of the most incredible mega bases I have ever seen. This was truly something I had never seen before, so no wonder I was hooked. Another cool thing that happens on the server are major events of sorts. Having a bunch of entertainers in one place opens up many avenues for, well, entertainment, and one of the ways that this manifests on Hermitcraft is in the form of storylines. It's nothing too massive really, they're not making feature films or anything like that, but every now and then something will unfold on the server that will have many of the hermits collaborating or fighting with each other. Be it a mayoral race for the leadership of the shopping district or a turf war to declare which block has the supremacy, mycelium or grass. Come to think of it, both of these storylines started because of Grian. They don't have to be all that involved either. Stories of a smaller scale can happen thanks to the hermits getting wrapped up in long-form minigames that someone sets up, like how Grian had his game of tag or how Cleo had her head games. There wasn't a real story, if you will, but the fact that the hermits were competing against each other provides a kind of storyline akin to that of a tournament arc in an anime, for example. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had while watching Hermitcraft. It really is quite unlike anything I had seen before, especially whenever a new storyline is brought up. It always piques my interest to see what the heck the hermits are planning, and where the story is going. The closest thing to it that I could think of is the Tekkit series that the Yogscast used to have. It seemed like a regular modded playthrough, but it quickly developed into a story that dealt with themes of friendship and betrayal with the backdrop of the competing enterprises. And I guess the Yogscast were really more well known for their Shadow of Israfel series. And that had the same concept, something that started as a seemingly normal Minecraft playthrough that eventually gave way to a massive storyline that people still hold dear to their hearts to this day. But I'm not the right guy to talk about it. I got into the Yogscast way after they were done with the series. Check this video if you want that deep dive. But I at least know that it was some of the most unique Minecraft content there was. At least, until the Dream SMP started.
It's me and you versus Dream.
It was never meant to be.
We are at war.
Am I the villain in your history?
My first decree is to revoke
Yes, sir.
of Wilbur and Tommy in it.
My unfinished symphony, forever unfinished.
You want to be a hero, Tommy? Then die like one!
I'm a person!
Actually, I care about your discs. You're just too fun.
Quick PSA, this is the part of the video where I start to swear because I feel weird doing it when talking about good old family-friendly Hermitcraft, so you've been warned, I guess. An even more recent obsession of mine is the Dream SMP, because in short, it basically takes everything I like about the storylines on Hermitcraft and cranks them up to fucking 11 because oh my god are they something else. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Dream SMP, as its name states, is a server created by the most popular Minecraft YouTuber and player of all time, Dream. And much like the guy himself, it has seen a massive surge of popularity in what seems like no time. Like, really, I mean, the SMP only started in August of 2020 and it now takes over Twitch and YouTube whenever something big happens. Seriously, millions of people tune into the streams whenever something's happening. Technoblade, for example, can easily rack up over 500,000 viewers on his streams, and the same happens for Tommy over at Twitch. Not even fucking VTubers can do that. These guys are quite literally at the top of the game and it's insane. And that's not even counting the countless other members that stream on the SMP, because one particular thing about it is that you're free to watch whoever you want and follow their own story, because everyone is kind of doing their own thing really. The gist of the Dream SMP is that it's a roleplay server, which means that the members are literally playing characters that can range from a caricature of their real life self to full-blown proper characters completely written to be played in a very specific way. Tommy, for example, has a lot of overlap between his real persona and his SMP persona, and sometimes we're not even able to discern when he's actually roleplaying or just messing around, while people like Wilbur and Rambo have created a completely different self that they play as while in the server. The Dream SMP is basically the result of putting together a bunch of insanely creative and talented entertainers in one place, all with the same goal, which is to create a massive story sprawling several characters that are almost all fully developed with their own personal arcs, while at the same time sharing the same world, creating factions, sides, and conflicting philosophies that all serve to build upon this world's lore. Seriously, this Minecraft survival multiplayer server has its own deep-ass lore, which for me at least was quite unheard of, and it really does go deep, spanning long-running arcs about war, revolution, politics, mystery, sci-fi, fantasy, all in one package that is somehow cohesive. What the fuck? That isn't to say that it's all gloomy and fucking serious all the time, not at all. It's basically all improv. Everyone has an idea of where the story has to go, but the path to get to each story beat is completely made up along the way, and that allows them to get creative with how they handle themselves. As good a writer and performer Technoblade is, for example, he seemingly cannot go on for 2 minutes without throwing a witty remark that borders on breaking the fourth wall. But the cool thing is that it doesn't ruin the moment or anything like that. If anything, it makes it all the more entertaining in the chaos of emotions that we might be feeling at the moment. For fuck's sake, I still think about the time when everyone was all sad because Manberg had just blown up and Techno was all like,
Manberg is gone, pug!
Or how almost at the same time, Fundy stopped everything to bring up how Phil had just gotten an advancement.
Guys, Phil's just got an advancement!
This blend of serious storytelling and legitimately funny and entertaining banter create a very unique kind of experience, one that you can enjoy in many ways, whether it's thanks to each creator and their personalities, or the characters that they play as, or the overarching narrative that has been built up for many months. The style of storytelling that the SMP has going on is also quite interesting. Not every stream is a lore-filled stream. More often than not, everyone streams off-character, just goofing around on the server, getting resources or exploring, or making new builds that serve as the backdrop for the story because, well, they're not always playing on a pre-made map or anything like that. They need that downtime to put together their storyline, and it's usually in streams like these where we get some insight as to how the story itself is made. I'd say the correct term for what they're doing is collaborative storytelling, sort of like SCP, you know, where a bunch of people are free to create their own stories within a shared universe and maybe even weave their storylines together. The cool thing is that this allows you to not be obligated to watch every single member to see their story. If it's not interesting to you, you don't have to watch it. It is, however, a problem for someone like me who wants to be up to date with everything, but while Hermitcraft is easy to keep up with thanks to the weekly recap, the same cannot be said for the Dream SMP. There's a metric fuck ton of content to digest when getting into the Dream SMP, which in part makes me regret that I didn't get into it sooner, as I was already a fan of Wilbur before he joined, and that was basically what kickstarted the road to the lore becoming far more complex and ambitious, as threats of it were already there back when Tommy joined and started the whole disc saga. And the funny thing is that I got into Wilbur's videos without even realizing that he had a history with Minecraft. For fuck's sake, the first video of his that I saw was the time when he was in the Rastular with Project Melody. See, it all goes back to fucking VTube! I remember when he uploaded his first Dream SMP video, and that would have been the perfect time to get in on it, but I was too stupid to realize it then. And I really have no idea why I didn't watch that video when I saw it on my sub box. Maybe I thought it was gonna be too much to get into another SMP already being knee-deep in Hermitcraft, but I eventually caved in during one of the biggest events on the server, which was the fall of Manberg. I already knew that there was something going on the SMP by simply reading the titles of each Wilbur video that would pop up on my sub feed. The Great War of the Dream SMP, How Schlatt Stole the Election of the Dream SMP, or even, Am I the Villain? But even as I witnessed those clearly interesting videos being uploaded, I couldn't get into them because I felt it was too late. And it seemed like a daunting task to get up to speed, but the fall of Manberg was so massive that it just took over me and I had to find out what the fuck was up with the Dream SMP. And so I did, and in reality I was scared for nothing because as big as the lore has gotten, it's still very digestible and some people have done a very good job of recapping the events in a very quick and efficient way. So I just watched a few of those recaps, I sat down and binged Wilbur's videos, and then I watched some of Tommy's videos after the fall of Manberg because at that point Wilbur had taken a step back from the SMP for a bit, and bam, I was pretty much up to speed. Granted, I don't know if someone could do the same thing that I did now, because in the short time that I've been following the Dream SMP, another metric fuck ton of stuff happened. How the fuck can someone get into it now that Tommy went into exile for a while and was tortured endlessly by Dream? Techno had a short retirement until Tubbo and Co created an army to hunt him down, but was saved by Dream, so he now owes him a favor, and then he joined forces with Tommy because he wanted to take back the discs, and Techno wanted to take down Manberg for basically just existing, which he ends up doing along with Dream, but the alliance with Tommy had to be broken because he couldn't see Manberg fall again. And most of all, he didn't want to go against his best friend Tubbo. And then after that whole disaster happened, the two went to confront Dream one last time for the discs, where he revealed that he wanted to take control of the whole SMP by taking hold of everyone's most valuable possessions so that he could manipulate everything and everyone to create a sort of fake peace that once existed but was ruined by people like Tommy. But then the whole of the SMP came together to stop his plans because they all realized that Dream was the actual villain all along and that they've been dancing on top of his palm for way too long, so they lock him down in the most amazing and awe-inspiring prison I have ever seen in Minecraft that is as incredible as it is inescapable. And then Tommy decided to start a new hotel business as a sort of new beginning for him after the whole Dream conflict had ended, but he still wanted to visit him for closure, and he visited twice, but during his second visit, explosions were heard outside the prison, so Tommy was locked in the same cell as Dream for security reasons for at least a week. And after that week passed, Dream ended up killing Tommy because he was being impossibly annoying, but he ended up reviving him because it turns out that Strad had a book that explained how the revival process worked that he gave to Dream before the fall of Manberg, and that was the only reason the Dream was being kept alive because there was now a chance to bring back Wilbur. Holy shit, a lot happened. Oh my god, and I didn't even mention the X story! So now do you see the reason why I've gotten so into the Dream SMP? And all of it I've just mentioned is the bigger picture really, because individual characters like Techno, Dream, Rambo, and Wilbur are some of the most interesting ones to witness just by virtue of how well they play these characters. Dream makes an incredible villain, Techno is just fun to witness with his chaotic energy and fun personality, Wilbur is the guy responsible for some of the biggest events on the server as he kinda served as a creative authority if you will for a while, and his character is one of the more developed ones in the SMP, and Rambo is just on a whole another league when it comes to his character, having apparently written pages upon pages about it, and doing some of the most involved and creative streams I have ever seen, making his chat cry with all the angst and legitimate tragedy that his character goes through, while also messing with them, planting many Easter eggs for the theory crafters to go insane over. Seriously, the Dream SMP is just full of great people with great talent that when put together in the same place, create some of the most engaging content I have ever seen, and honestly, I fucking applaud that. Well, that was my love letter to Hermitcraft and the Dream SMP, both for getting me back into a game that I had forgotten just how great it was, and also for introducing me to some of the most incredible and fun content I have had the pleasure to follow in all of my years in this platform. And I don't really know what's next for both of these. Hermitcraft is still going strong with Season 7, and the recent Big Base swap was a really fun event that they put together. The lead up to it was very well made when nobody really knew what the giant countdown rocket meant, and how it seemingly fell out of the sky and asked names in a very bizarre fashion. They all had their different theories that allowed them to make some fun stuff, like Iskal and Impulse making a big bunker to store their belongings thinking that the season was going to end, or Mumbo thinking that HCBBS meant Hermitcraft Bumbo Bagging Society, and putting together a whole base of operations with several dining halls and even going on a quest along with some other Hermit companions. As for the Dream SMP, the story has been going on strong as always, and with everything that's been going on, we might be on the verge of another giant event that might change everything as we know it once again. And with Wilbur coming back to write the story soon, that's all the more reason to get excited over what they do next. So yeah, you know what? I'll keep watching this content. Even though it's actually been a while since I've played Minecraft again after I beat it last year, these people are so good at what they do that they make me keep coming back. So what more can you ask really?